I have met Đường Lâm in Vietnam British Parliamentary Championship 2021, and I have met Gia Hưng in National School Debating Championship in this year. So I just asked them that, do you want to team up? And they say yes, so we have an ACX here.
So I think it is a very close topic, so it is more intuitive for us to generate ideas. But in terms of development, we still have certain difficulties in order to develop it.
I feel like ACX has a bit of an advantage here because this is a motion that they are very familiar with. Well, we also sat together and made a lot of throw around ideas, make some brainstorm sessions, and we have already created a very good format and a very good frame for the whole debate. Even though they don't have as much experience in debate, but I still feel very confident in them because of how well they prepared this motion and how dedicated they seem to become the best in this competition.
We're the Fat Cats. We're originally from the same debate club at Viet Duc High School, and we kind of found each other along the way and teamed up somewhere last year. And we practiced from then till now for this show.
We all find that our motion is a bit challenging. It's a pretty new topic. However, we think that it is also a chance for us to try our best and practice ourselves to the full potential.
So I think that they prepare quite well for the proposition side. But when we have like the picking side, they unfortunately got the opposition side. So they have to rebuild their second claim, but I think that they'll do fine.
To be honest, we all feel a bit anxious, but we think that only the best team deserves to win, and those who actually prepared really carefully deserves to win this motion. So we will try our best, and may the best team wins.
Ignite your passion. Ignite your passion.
Welcome back to The Debaters, a debate game show for students all across Vietnam. Produced by VTV7 and the British University of Vietnam. My name is Long Vu and I'll be your host today. With that being said, let's get to our motion. Our motion today will really focus on the differences between individualism and core family values, and it'll be interesting to see different viewpoints and how people really feel on this matter. I won't keep us waiting too long. Let's take a look at our motion for today. That we regret the decline of tightly integrated families. Sounds like a pretty heavy motion. With that being said, let's introduce our teams for today. On the proposition team, we have team ACX. And on the opposition team today, we have Fat Cat. Wow, guys, usually I start over there, but your vest looks so nice. I just love the color of your jacket. It looks amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks. So why did you pick the color blue?
It's our school uniform.
Really, what's your school?
Viet Duc High School.
Viet Duc High School. Maybe I should go to Viet Duc High School too.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you guys and good luck today, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well. How would you describe the dynamic of your guys' group?
We will bring many different colors and many different styles and how we will present our arguments differently, the three of us. So I think we're really looking forward to this debate and round.
Okay, nice. Wish you guys best luck.
Thank you.
Say so.
Oh, no worries. We have some great contestants, but we definitely need some great judges as well. So, I have a quick question. Stuart, you live pretty far away from your family.
Yes.
So, on the particular motion today, do you have any strong feelings?
I think it's been interesting moving out to Vietnam and comparing the approach we take in particularly England, which is quite pro-individualism, and then coming to Vietnam where I feel like there's a much closer-knit family model. And I can see benefits and negatives of both models. And I'm interested to see what these guys think, coming from a Vietnamese perspective, and whether that also touches on some of the things that I've noticed here in Vietnam as well.
Nice, perfect. Hey Juan, do you have any particular tactics when you feel homesick and you miss your family?
To be honest, I've been quite lucky to move to Vietnam, where I see a lot of cultural similarities between Korea and Vietnam. So for me, I think when I feel homesick, I just go get pho and pretend Actually, I don't need to pretend. It's wonderful food. So I think anything soupy just reminds me that I'm in a wonderful place with great food and I have a home to go back to with also great food. So, yeah.
Nice, perfect. Well, I mean, personally for me, I'm also a foreigner too. I've been living in Vietnam for around 10 years, and I think a lot of times I almost forget that I'm not home because Vietnam becomes like a second home to me. And of course, Mr. Long, I know that you've lived overseas as well. So is there any particular feelings you have about this motion?
I think I do have feelings about this one, but I think we are, from judges like previous generations, right? Like millennials or even Gen X. But I'm curious how the students from Generation Z, because they do have their own problems and they do have their own particular context. So I'm very, looking forward to see their thoughts and opinions on this issue.
After hearing some great comments from the judges, I'm pretty excited to get started with round one. Representing the proposition side, may I please have Nguyen Duy Nguyen up to the stage. And representing the opposition team, or Fat Cat, can I please have Nguyen Tuấn Phước? Every contestant that's been up here has handwritten notes. This is the only person I've seen that has typed their notes out. So I don't know if that's a strategy that will give him an advantage or not, but he's definitely very organized, yeah? And don't be nervous. Be as free-minded.
Okay,
Just
okay.
let it go. Don't worry about it, okay? You'll do good.
Yeah.
Breathe.
Okay, breathe.
Okay. Hello, friend.
Hi.
So you have handwritten notes.
Yes.
Do you have any special tactic that's going to give you an advantage today?
To me personally, to be confident is already a very good thing to do already. And besides being confident, you have to be heartful about what you say, because as family is a very tightly related topic to every one of us.
Okay, good idea. Well, I wish you the best of luck, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. With that being said, our first round will begin. I would like to review some rules before we start. Each contestant will have 3 minutes to complete their speech. There will be no POIs allowed in this round, and the proposition side will go first. With that being said, let the debates begin.
Look at the status quo. People shame young people who still live near the parents. Many people believe that when they turn 18, they should do everything on their own. They believe that talking to the parents means that you are immature or lame. People making fun of each other or being a mama boy. That fact that is even considered an insult means that the society is going against family. However, times have changed. Housing price, youth unemployment rates are high at all time, and without a support structure, young people struggle to even stay alive. People must understand that nowadays you can be a PhD holder but still not have a good job. Okay, that's why we still believe that the decline in our society's best support system, the demonization of receiving help from parents is detrimental to the well-being of youngsters. So what does the tightly integrated family look like? Even when families do not have a lot of relatives or living as a nuclear family, if they have a tightly emotional connection where the sharing thing with the family member is normal as expected, that they are tightly integrated family. So this family have a special biological connection to give them unconditional love, which is something that could never be replicated or duplicated in anywhere outside family. Even if the opposition side, they can say that family will not be able to communicate due to just inherent gap among different generations. However, we would like the judge to understand that this is not the case. First, I accept that old and young people have always been wildly different in progressiveness and personality, but only recently has a huge impact appearance. This is because of the trend that there are more opportunity available in cities, and young people are forced to move to these urban areas, so that the youngsters gradually forget how to live and communicate with their family. And as the trend continues, people regard growing outside families as a normal thing and push for independence. So, move on. First argument, the tightly integrated family are the best support system for the youngster. So as we have mentioned above, this current system is working against for the youngster, right? As a result, they tend to overwork themselves 18 hours a day in dead-end jobs. So coming home late to tired, exhausted to develop skill or try to connect, try to pay for their education, pay for housing and healthcare all by themselves. This will only trap in this cycle forever with no social mobility. so in the counterfactual. However, in our world, we are being close to living with your family is not stigmatized. We'll still be able to solve this problem. Even if parents are not rich enough, setting rent, setting food will take a huge amount of work off their shoulder of the youth. Hence, youngster would have more free time to actually have a personal development to move up the social ladder. The opposition team, they can say that there are other supports and systems for youth, for youngster, such as getting a close roommate, right? However, none of this will be as reliable or economical as getting support from your mother or father, people who have more experienced people who have to take care of you in your whole life. Thank you. Proud compliment. Thank you.
Standing for the opposition team, we would like to redefine the decline of tightly integrated families. We believe that the decline of tightly integrated families are different from the diminishment from family care and support, as family integration are not just people staying in a home, in the same home, in a family, but also it is defined as family being tightly connected through internet. But we believe that our life is a series of choice, that if you're limiting choices from individuals, you are limiting their life. So, coming to our first point, the decline of tightly integrated families are promoting self-development, and this is why. In tightly integrated families, where putting family first, individual second is encouraged, personal choices are undermined. It's like choosing a different career from your family tradition is considered unacceptable. And with a strong mental bond, the elders and parents are always protecting their younger ones and guide them to directions that they think are safer. Because of that, family are gaslighting and coerce a lot of decisions that without consideration the younger ones have to follow because of inconsequential reasons that their family just knows better than them. And like examples, family tell you to pursue law for the greater good, even though you're obliged to do so. This overprotection limits members to achieve what they really want and ban them from trying new things and even manipulating their social circle. An example, there are parents who forces their children to play with whom, where, study, and even who they may marry in the future. And so, people are different, and this is what matters. Why this matters? Because different people are ultimately different. They often know what they want rather than having somebody deciding it for them. And even if they lack experience and need help, they should not be manipulated for choices that invalidate their feelings and their wants and needs. Family guidance, however, could be very inappropriate sometimes and inapplicable because families individuals grow up at different times and they experience different things. And so, coercing members to choices is immoral, and bad choices is even worse. And without this overprotection, members could explore a variety of choice and gaining unique experience for themselves that otherwise following the family tradition would not grant them. And then, at some point in life, they must decide for themselves without their family being on their side. So they're responsible for their own consequences of actions. So for this, they need to actively think about their wants and needs, not to follow their family's determinations. So as a result, they can understand themselves more through time in the long run, which then greatly help them to develop independently in the future as individuals in the society. So why this will win us the debate? Because tightly integrated families will achieve to remain unity, but this can lead to compromises undermining the individuals. Proud to be opposed.
Wow, that was a pretty good debate, guys. So let's let those results speak then. Let's start with Stuart. Can I please hear your critiques?
Sure. What I think we need to try and establish, because we're starting to dip into some contradictions, is what is integrated or tightly integrated family? Because on the one hand, the opposition is mentioning that, and you made quite a good point, it's not the same as reduced support. If we don't have tightly integrated families, that's not the same as reduced support. But then later talk about the limitations of family guidance. So I'm a bit confused how you guys are conceptualizing tightly integrated families, and I need you to clear that up a little bit before I can see what the alternatives are. The same with the proposition side as well. I still am a little bit lost about what your understanding of tightly integrated families is, and you're mentioning notions such as having a special biological connection. This is really important, but I'm still waiting for a clear reason why. At the moment, in terms of which sides I get a bit of a better understanding of your argument, that is for the opposition side. So I'll be giving my 10 points to you guys, but I think going into the next round, there are definitely things that need clarifying on both sides if you guys really want to kind of propel this debate forward.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Hey, can I hear your critiques, please?
Sure. I was taking a little bit of time because I think Stuart stole my comments a little bit because I very much agree with his assessment that it's a little bit unclear at this stage in the debate in terms of what these tight-knit families are. Because when I listen to proposition, I absolutely believe you in the sense that the modern world as a young adult is very difficult to live in without having support from family. But when I listen to the opposition, I believe you as well, that oftentimes families can be very coercive, or I believe the phrase you used was, in order to protect, they oftentimes gaslit, or the result is gaslighting of their children in terms of guidance. So for me, how I broke this tie, at least in this preliminary stage, was I think when the proposition tells me that the tight-knit family is potentially an opportunity for the young people surviving in the modern world to have the burden off their shoulders, I think that kind of made me a bit more curious as to what's to come next. So that's the conclusion, but I would love to hear the other following speakers really explain to me what is so regrettable or not regrettable. But just to be clear, my 10 points goes to the proposition.
Thank you. And Mr. Lom, please, can I have your comments?
From opposite side, I think you had a very potential idea on gaslighting and coercive choice. However, when you try to adding the characterization on that way, I think it's just lacking a little bit of explanation of why this is actually happening and why can the children get out of this situation without this kind of a trend, for example, right? Also for proposition side, I think it's more comparative, you call counterfactual word and the student word, which is lacking in the first speeches. So I'm looking forward to that one to happen in the second speeches and the next one, right? But given what you said, I think for me, the problem is actually better constructed and contextualized a little bit better, just a little bit. So that's why my 10 points go to the prop side.
After the critiques from our judges, proposition side has 20 points and the opposition side has 10 points. But remember, folks, we're just getting started. So, Nguyen, how do you feel about the judges' critiques?
Kind of happy.
Do you feel less nervous?
Maybe a little.
Well, I want to see you taking more risks, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Hello, superstar. How do you feel about the critiques from the judges? Is there anything in particular that stuck out?
I think the definition actually stuck out because it's actually a little complex than it actually is.
Okay, wish you the best of luck. All right, thank you guys. Please have a seat. Yeah, thank you. And don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back.
So this family have a special biological connection to give them unconditional love, which is something that could never be replicated or duplicated in anywhere outside family.
This overprotection limits members to achieve what they really want and ban them from trying new things and even manipulating their social circle.
So I'm a bit confused how you guys are conceptualizing tightly integrated families, and I need you to clear that up a little bit.
Welcome back to the Debaters Season 3. Our first round was a pretty close tie, but one team is slightly in the lead. For the next round, I'd like to get our two players up here and let's get going. On the proposition side, may I please have Nguyễn Gia Hưng. And from the opposition side, may I please have Hoàng Ngọc Linh. Hello, Mr. Hưng.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So you seem kind of shy, kind of like your teammate over there. Are you shy?
To be honest, I'm quite excited for the round, but also a bit nervous. It's my first time having this opportunity.
Okay, well, just think about it like it's your 100th time doing it, and maybe it'll be slightly easier for you.
Thank you for the tip.
Yeah, but don't be nervous. Come on, you have that excitement, let it out, right? Okay, good luck, okay?
Thank you.
And hello, Lynn.
Hello.
what is one of your best traits that you personally want to bring out so that you can win the competition?
Maybe the best trait that I can show is that I am maybe a thinker because I think a lot, and I think that the debate can actually show that I can think a lot about it and also learn the way to express it.
Perfect. I think being an inquisitive person is a great trait. So I hope that will be an advantage for you, okay? Thank you and best luck, okay?
Thank you.
For the second round, the rules will be slightly different, so I'll review the rules with us now. For the second round, each contestant will have 4 minutes to complete their speech. POIs will be available, and we'll start with the proposition team. Everything clear? Yes. Perfect, perfect. With that being said, let the debates begin.
Before coming to any rebuttals, I would like to point out a very clear contradiction on their case. They criticize family support by saying that sometimes your decisions will be gaslighted and will not be validated. But also there was somehow still exist family support on their side. If that means that the family on your side will still intervene, if the logic of them being gaslighting you is still true, this means that all the harms that actually exist on their side still exist when they also exist the family support that will tell us in this debate. But we believe that the problem with gaslighting and coercive, there are 2 mechanisms in order to rebut this. Firstly, in terms of communication, right? We've proven to you why the social norms on our side we have a better incentive in order to share the problems with our family, right? Because it's not seen as lame anymore. It's not seen as you're a mother boy anymore, right? We've already proven to you. This is why when your choices are said, your decisions will be validated. This means that you have the opportunity in order to share your opinions. This is when your family will actually understand you more, right? On the comparative, this actually exists on opposition because they already don't have the incentive and they already want to validate all of their decisions with their parents or with the relatives, right? This is when your decisions are being gaslighted on your side. But secondly, we tell you there's an unconditional love factor on our side, right? This means that your family, in order to benefit you the most, they're more likely to listen to you for your best benefits, right? Because if you're truly passionate, if your decision actually makes you happy, right? We think that it's very likely because of the unconditional love, your family will actually show support and give more resources to you. Secondly, you mentioned about, okay, you want to the young people to be responsible and taking their own decisions, right? One, they never explain why taking responsibility by themselves means that it is safe. We've already proven to you in the context of the competitive of the market. We've proven to you why the resources, for example, like housing, are getting more competitive. We've proven to you why these younger people are inexperienced. This means that even if they're going to take responsibility, it means they're going to risk their own safety because they have no kind of mechanism in order to validate their own things, right? It's going to cast a more heavy burden on them because they have no other way in order to come back, right? On the comparative, we believe that the part of the family that we think that responsibility can also be done on our side because you can also say your ideas, right? But the difference here is that we have a much better mechanism in terms of support, right? Moving on to our arguments, we believe that we're going to protect a lot of the minority groups in the society, the groups that are being stigmatized in the society. Notice family support provides you 2 things. First one, biological connections, which mean that even if like the conservatives, like your parents, like they're more likely to get engaged with your children because they simply have the responsibility in order to care for you. Secondly, why we have the empathy, right? Mechanisms of communication and emotional connections. This means that we believe that when the child, for example, say, oh, I am a gay child, and they explain to their parents how difficult it is to be a gay child and to live in a society where they may be discriminated. This means that with the factor of unconditional love, this means that the parents will have more information about their children, right? This means that when they see that their children are suffering from being a minority, they will have a much better tendency in order, one, to be aware, but also might change their mindsets in order to show support, right? This also extends beyond, not just on gender, but also on feminists and on racial fights, right? What is the impact of this one? One, we believe that the agency of the family, it creates and gives you the sense of belonging. It means that they're going to say, it's okay for you to be gay. It's okay for you to have a black skin, right? Because you're still beautiful. This means that you're more likely to accept your identity and prior greater push on social movements. And on the comparative, the society has no responsibility and bond in order to comprehend, in order to help you. Secondly, parents are best allies, right? They understand the problems of the conservatives. This is when they have better mechanisms in order to relate, in order to persuade other conservatives, in order to actually support the social movements and actually support these minority groups, right? This is when we actually create a much better platform for them to fight for their rights. More than proud to propose.
first, I want to give a rebuttal to the claim of the proposal team said that the parents, they can become the best alliance for the children. And for example, they stated that maybe when the children, they come out, then the parents, they can say that it's okay to be gay and I can support you. However, in the reality, how many of us can be confidently say that in a family gathering when a relative asks us that, are you gonna get married? And how can you confidently say that, I'm not going to marry again and I want to love a boy, but I can't because maybe I am the only child and the pressure to be the only child that have to take over the family career and have a stable, no thank you, have a stable family. Have a stable family in a traditional family that fits the norms of society. Not many of us can do that, and not many of the parents, they can proudly say that and say to all society that they are proud to say that and confidently say that they will overcome the difficulties, no thank you, with the child themselves. And I also want to rebut to their argument that the family, it will give a unconditional love and support for the children, for the families in the reality, because they are all struggling because of the financial risk and crisis and also burdens. But this burden, the financial burden and also the risk when they have to live by themselves, it only has an impact in the short run because we know that at some state of the life, there will be no more family with us and they can't be always there for us in every moment that we need them. And at that moment, the thing that we need is ourselves, it's our self-development and also our self-identity that we have, no thank you, that we have discussed in the first argument. And now in the second argument, I will also extend that. So now coming to our second point, that self-identity is the most will be protected with the decline. And why is that? We know that everyone has their own self-identity, which can be their sexual orientation, their religious beliefs, and their appearance, for example. And these things are what we can change and be hidden for good. And people, human beings, we are born to be unique, and therefore we can live different ways, and we have different ways to express ourselves. And therefore, there exists the critical difference in the family members, and there also exists a generation gap that cannot be easily overcome just by communicating. No, thank you. Therefore, these two reasons above, it proves that there are instances that the family, they were not willing to compromise and also follow the other family ideas because they need and they want to live happily with their true self. And in tightly integrated families, with its tendency, as we have mentioned, in tendency to gaslight, manipulate, and force individuals into choices, it will leave no room for that development of their self-identity. And why does it matter? When these things, when the guidance and beliefs are forced on them, they will have no room to solve their self-identity. And then they also have to restrict their own self-identity for the good of the family. And therefore, whether in the short run, they can endure that and they can tolerate that. But in the long run, they have to be under the pressures of living the other people's life and also living to their true self. And therefore, when they have to release this stress, this immense stress, then it will result in the excessive rebellion and also oppositions. And this opposition attitude, they can even backfire the good intentions of the family, the initial goals of the family, that being a harmony and a positive environment for all the family members. And why we win this debate? I can say for 3 reasons. Because first, when the young, they are forced to listen to the other family's opinions, then they will tend to flee and they will break the tight connection, which is the ultimate and the most benefits of the integrated family. And then secondly, when the decline happens, they can live more separately, they can have the chance to become themselves and live themselves, know their life values and follow that. Especially in our world, we can protect one of the most vulnerable stakeholders, which are the people who belong to the minor sexual orientations, because we know that they have faced already many discriminations from the society, but in the household they need and they have the right to be themselves. And therefore I'm proud to oppose.
Wow, so many ideas to be shared today, both of you. Good job, both of you. Judges, judges, judges. Let's start with Stuart.
Another really interesting round, and I think based on the comments that the judges provided for the last round, there was a lot of stuff for you guys to clear up. On the proposition side, I think your ideas were clear, but I think this notion of unconditional love might be a bit of a dangerous one to push too far. And you had a good idea with trying to bring up the notion of minority groups. However, the opposition team, you guys reacted very quickly, and your rebuttal was, well, actually, if we know anything, that people who may see themselves as slightly outside the norm often can't find that support in their family, and they find support systems outside of their family. So that was a very strong and quick rebuttal from your side. So based on the rebuttal that you guys produced, and also I think some of the ideas do have more legs than the notion of unconditional love, which I see as being quite a central part of this, I'm going to give my 10 points this time to the opposition side.
Nice job. So with that being, opposition side and preposition side are now at a tie. So, Miss Haewon, are you going to be the tiebreaker?
For me, unfortunately, at this point of the debate, I'm seeing more of both teams just going their own ways, right? The proposition is drawing me a very romanticized picture of what a tightly integrated family is. Apparently, tightly integrated families embrace every part of who you are. They are your greatest allies. They pour you with unconditional love. The opposition is drawing me the exact opposite picture, which is you have zero room to be yourself. You have, no chance to be independent. You are coerced, you are gaslit, you're pressured. So although I do think that both speakers definitely added on a lot of material to the debate, I'm still seeing quite a divide. Therefore, my decision was really made on which speaker really gave me the comparative. And I feel like for the opposition, when the speaker tells me that even in a situation where your family may support you, the very nature of tightly integrated families means that there's a lot of expectation for you to fulfill whatever your parents want or whatever your family must want. It's very difficult for you to be your own independent self. I felt like that was in line with what the motion is promoting here. I would like to see more comparisons, but in this particular round, my 10 points goes to the opposition for that very factor.
Nice. That's putting the opposition in lead by 10 points. And Mr. Lam.
For me, I think that the both speakers, did a good job on pointing out the problems, right? But the question now is that on which side you can actually solve the problems better. So on prop side, you say that, okay, there's a social norm, so-called unconditional love, which can help the people to solve the problems together, no matter what the differences are. On the other side, you hold it on, no. There's actually other kind of norms, namely traditional values, that prevent people from working on the issues. But the problem here is that, okay, so which norm is actually stronger than the other one that make the outcome you claim to happen more likely to happen on your side, for example. But unfortunately, none of the speakers have actually explained that to me. But I think the prop side did slightly better job on providing mechanisms on why this can be solved by this kind of the thing, while the op side just focusing on a lot of problems, characterization, and you wasted most of the time on explaining the analysis and mechanisms in your out of time speeches. So that's why 10 points for prop side.
Thank you, Hwang Lam, for putting us in another tie. With that being said, the proposition and the opposition side both have 30 points now. So that means that we're still neck to neck, guys. How do you feel about the comments from the judges? Do you think they're fair?
I think it's in the best interest to provide us comments in order for us to improve. So I'll definitely make a note of this and work with my teammates.
Okay, nice. Keeping the constructive criticism positive. Good job. And my friend, so it looks like your character and charisma did pay off, didn't it?
Yes, I think.
Yeah, you had some time constraints, but still at the same time, I think the judges were forgiving for you, so that's always good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Thank you so much, contestants. May you please have a seat. The proposition and opposition side are both at 30 points right now, keeping us at a tie, but stay tuned. Right after this break, we're gonna break the tie.
That when they see that their children are suffering from being a minority, they will have a much better tendency in order, one, to be aware, but also might change their mindsets in order to show support, right?
We know that at some state of life, there will be no more family members, and they can't be always there for us in every moment that we need them.
For me, unfortunately, at this point of the debate, I'm seeing more of both teams just going their own ways, right?
Welcome back to the debaters. It's round 3, and this round is going to be a tiebreaker for us today. From the proposition side, allow me to welcome Nguyễn Tường Lâm. And from the opposition side, allow me to welcome Lê Như Ý. How are you feeling about this? You're at a tie. How are you going to get the advantage?
Firstly, I feel discombobulated and turbulence because not only our rival is more robust than I guess that I have had forecasts, but and our teams had to do their best today, so do I.
Well, it's definitely have a difficult competition, but I think you guys are pretty strong too, so best of luck, okay?
Yeah, it's kind of you say so.
Oh, thanks. I'm gonna ask you the same question over here. You're at a tie. So what are you gonna use to get an advantage?
I try to listen to what the judges say, so I would try to improve on what they give us.
Nice. Perfect. Well, best of luck.
Thank you.
The rules for round 3 will be the same as round 2, but I'm gonna review really quickly. Each contestant will have 4 minutes to complete their speech. POIs are allowed, and the proposition team will go first. You ready? Yes. Perfect. With that being said, let the debates begin.
Family isn't always blood. It's the people in your life who want you in there, the one who accept you for who you are, the one that you do anything to see you smile and who love you no matter what. This fundamental quote is our stance of this debate round. To comment with, the opposition side has a big fault in this debate. They keep analyzing how the government side, society are inferior, such as the overprotectants, and forgot to analyze why their case are better than us. So let me compare both teams today. On the opposition side, numerous individuals are allowed to do whatever they want, right? Perhaps people are accustomed to personal life, personal development, and meaning-wise, the diminution of connection among family members will be inevitable. Hence, parents don't want to empathize with you because they stipulate that you are independent enough. Appetitedly proliferate themselves without assistantly, and you can easily susceptible from the hazards of the society. For instance, if you are a part of LGBTQI+ and being damaged from the norms, bullying, it would be very inferior for you to survive because nobody readily lend you a hand and could be to be more depressed. Another thing is that the more mature the youngsters are, the less financial assistance they give to their old parent. Subsequently, the adult will be left out and regularly become a social burden. And this feedback will be linked with my comparison in which society will bring the merit, particularly the happiness for the individuals. So why the fourth case is better? Because close family depend individual against poisonous thing as well as the vulnerable dilemmas. Not only does it the suitable place for youngsters to express their feeling, but elderly family also the succor to the collective is access by supporting a kind of prosper or incubate in the period that you are vulnerable most. So as well as rarely give you the financial aid if you need help and are willing to support you everywhere, both in assistance and spirit value. Even if there is no particular rationale for them to do that, right? It's probably more rational for them to force you to go out, contribute themselves, since family are able to co-op and harness. It's able to provide a bold kind of protection for those individuals. When young children are excessively open-minded with the elderly, numerous of parents are absolutely produce whatever they want to be, such as giving advice to their kids who have the trouble with a mental impairment in any circumstances. So even if somehow youngsters are magically success in their opposition side, they will be happy because they feel like they will regret due to the lack of time with their families, with their members, and realize that the close members are abolitionists. And even if in our worst case, family are more conservative, as in the opposition side as said, they still have more satisfactory to represent the stigmas, your difficulties, rather than in your opposition side, they cut off the relation with your parent even when they was 18 and stick to the social evil. So why is too weighty to overcome? No, thank you. Why is too weighty to overcome all the contradiction in this debate today? Because without individual happiness, numerous inhabitants won't have enough sight to orientate, so do as in the opposition side, right? And that mistrust of what they are doing since nobody got them. So why in the golf side, at least they have a mental platform as well as the promotion to passionately endeavor in the future. So comparing in the both teams about the family support and society support, so we do believe that the family support are better because it's undeniable that in terms of family, at least we know our family members and easily express concern, issue, and because we feel safer, even if in the family are conservative. While living in the society of the opposition side, the more you risk explore to the society, the more risk you can be attacked. So we believe that we'll be the winner today. Thank you.
The proposition team repeatedly talks about how young children face difficulties when they turn 18. They have to be like, they leave the house and they no longer receive support from the family. However, this repeatedly shows that they misunderstand this motion. The motion is talking about how the decline of tightly integrated families is affecting society. However, the decline of integrated families doesn't mean that there will be no family connection whatsoever, which means that the definition of family and their values are still there. We do not deny the positive values that a family will have an individual and its members. However, we say that you are misunderstanding the motion by repeatedly imply that by not having a tightly integrated families, the youth will no longer have support. Now, the second speaker mentioned that we, with a tightly integrated family, we have strong support, we have unconditional love, and we have more information about our children. However, this proves our point. On what grounds do you assume that they will be comfortable to share their information about what's going on in their lives with their parents? They will only share it if they want to. Now, this doesn't guarantee that more information will be had on your side, which means that your point is irrelevant. And this proves our point that parents in tightly integrated families manipulate their children to get more information about what's going on in their life, so they know how to best control them and conform them into a certain family structure. And now they say that you assume that parents will always be there. Well, this exists in our world too, because we also have family. Parents will be there for our children. And the fact that it's integrated means that they don't want conflicts and differences in perspectives. And so they will assume, they will impose certain beliefs on their children so that they stay united. Second, the fact that you ensure parents will always be there proves to be backhanded. For one, they blindly support their children, which means that whatever their children do, they want to support it. You said unconditional love, they say unconditional support. Yeah, what if they're wrong? Yeah, you're still supporting it. That's blind support. Second, you're encouraging the dependence of children on their parents. I will move on to say what our world looks like, because apparently it wasn't clear to you. First, the world with decline. Family supports individuals without an expectation to be complied 100%, but simply want to equip them with the necessities to equip them to face life. The fact that they don't have an integrated family doesn't mean that they don't have education and guidance in the family. Also, we are not imposing any identity on the children because we are allowing them some space for self-development. We are not wanting them to be a certain form to fit into that tightly integrated family so that we don't have any conflicts in ideas. Second, more individuals will be open. They will have more open chances to live with their own identities. Third, we're equipping youngsters with the ability to live with their choices, to take responsibilities. For example, my parents think that, well, I might major in finance because it's best for me, but I don't want to. But however, I still listen to them. And now things doesn't turn out well, and I'm blaming them for it. Now, why is identity is the core factor? To an individual, human nature is to be different. It's to be unique in one way or another. It is the difference and diversity that makes it an individual. And so we're developing, we're exploring ourselves, we're enriching our perspective of the world, and we're taking responsibilities for our decision. However, this identity will also affect a family connection, because certainly the child, well, parents will get the chance to know what their child's potential is. And also when things fall apart, the child will put the blame on their parents. Well, this is not the aim for integrated family to work, because integrated families only work when they are truly connected, when they truly have the same perspective. This proves that the right to identity can make or break a family connection. Coming to today's debate, we have proven that, well, integrated family is beneficial, but I am proud to oppose. Thank you.
Great work, guys. Great work. And judges. Stuart, and you definitely don't like breaking them, but I'm going to call on you anyways.
I think going straight to the proposition side, actually, this is something that I think covers both sides. I'm surprised to see the limitations of the arguments, if I'm honest, because a lot of it is, and I know that there are time constraints, but a lot of it is focusing on the parent and the child relationship, Remember, these are integrated families. This also means horizontal support towards siblings. It also means support towards grandparents from grandchildren and children. And I was quite interested to see that that wasn't really touched upon. Proposition side, you did mention it briefly. You mentioned about kind of the elderly generation, but I really thought that was going to make more of a part within this debate. So I'm a little bit disappointed to see that wasn't made a kind of central point for either of the sides. Looking at what the worlds look like, for the proposition side, you did get to a point where you looked at the two sides. You said, we've either got family support or you've got societal support. The only thing that I gained from that, and the only difference that are between those, is that you mentioned that the children or the families within the family supported or family integrated model were able to express their issues. But I didn't really see much extension from that side. For the other side, I thought that your comparison of what the world looked like was a little bit more convincing, okay? And at that point in the third round, I needed to really make a comparison between those. And the more convincing side for me was the opposition for doing that in terms of articulating what the worldview looked like. So my 10 points will go to the opposition team.
Nice, so Stuart has given you a 10-point lead. Nice. Hey, Juan. Are you going to put us in another tie, or are you going to put someone in the lead?
So thank you both speakers for the debate. Again, lots of energy, lots of passion, definitely appreciated that. But even to this point, I'm still puzzled at what tightly integrated families mean, because I feel like it's becoming a debate about family is awesome versus family is awesome, if I'm being honest. So what I mean by that is I'm struggling to find out what the proposition is regretting. Is the world we live in where you cannot get any financial or emotional support from your family members, and ergo it's regrettable because that is declining, the support that you're able to get. Versus the opposition, again, I get the independence point, I get the whole be your own individual point, but also I wonder, beyond the families have so much influence over you, what are we, I guess, celebrating about this decline? Or I guess what do we enjoy about it other than, you know, be your own independent butterfly of sorts? So it was quite a tough round for me to judge, but ultimately the question I asked myself is, they're giving me very distinct or radically different views of the benefits and harms of integrated families, but what can happen in each other's world? In other words, in the proposition world, the best case scenario is that in the counterfactual, you will get finance, you will get support. But I think opposition cleverly points out they're not defending a world without families. They're rather defending a world where this decline allows you to be your own self. This decline allows you to actually be responsible for your own actions, and that kind of support still exists in their world. And I felt like, again, quite tight, but ever so slightly, the opposition convinces me on that point. So my 10 points would go to the opposition.
Oh, nice. Mr. Lam?
Yeah, I do agree. I have issues with both of the teams' characterization of what really tightly integrated families is. So for prop, I think you try to push the definition of, cutting ties with your families to the upside. I expect the upside, maybe be more open to, in our worst case, even if they cut ties, then why it's still worth it. But then you decided to take a soft stance, saying that, well, we just regretting the not integration by definition by prop, but something like the expectations we're putting on each other. So for me, a little bit, this is not so charitable to prop side, because if it's just all about whether we should have expectations on the children or not, then I don't think there's much to debate for prop side in this, for prop in the team to have materials, right? So that's for that being said, I think the case a bit more clearer to me for prop. So I think they deserve, in this point, they deserve 10 points from me. So congratulations, prop.
Nice, and after the third round, the winner has still not been decided. Our proposition team has 40 points, and our opposition team has 50 points, meaning that we still don't have a clear winner. Thank you guys so much. Please take a seat. And folks, stay tuned. We'll be right back with the reply debate.
While living in the society of the opposition side, the more you risk explore to your society, the more risk you can be attacked.
We are allowing them some space for self-development. We are not wanting them to be a certain form to fit into that tightly integrated family.
I do agree I have issues with both of the teams' characterization of what really tightly integrated families is.
Welcome back to the reply speeches. This round will be deciding our winner for today. From the proposition team, may I please have Nguyễn Gia Hân. And from our opposition team, may I please have Hoàng Ngọc Linh. Before we get started, let me go over the rules really quickly. This round will be completely anonymous, and we will have no remarks from the judges. Each contestant will have 2 minutes to make your speech. There'll be no POIs, and this time the opposition side will go first. Are we clear? Perfect. All right. I won't keep you waiting. On your marks, get set, debate.
Dear media speaker, in the world that we are living, there are families who let other people sexually abuse their children with the belief that they can change the self-identity and the sexual orientations of their children. And that is the illustrations of the worst case that can happen in your world when you regret the decline of the integrated family. And in that world, the families, they are given the right to impose everything on their children, on their family members. And because in that world, people promote the concept that family first, family is always right. And the children of the family member, they have to suffer from the fear that they are being criticized, they are being abandoned if they don't follow their family's ideas and what the social norm tells them about that the family must be tightly integrated. When compared to the worst case that can happen in our in opposition work with the decline of tightly integrated families, yes, maybe you can face the situations that you are bankrupt and you are facing the financial risk. However, at that moment, who can say that your family support can guarantee for you that you can overcome the difficult situations? What if in that case there is no tightly integrated family for you? They are not there. And at that moment, you don't even have enough self-development and self-identity to prove and to overcome that by yourself. So in the worst case is that maybe there are no integrated family, but at least we still have ourselves, at least we still have our identity to make it work. But in your world, when there are no tightly integrated families, they're not even you. You cannot even rely on yourself. Just be honest that don't you want to go to bed and have no regrets that you are still living to your true self. And in that world, you can say, I can, more than, can I do that? Am I right? And that's the world that we can see and we can happily live in with the decline of the integrated family. And therefore, proud to oppose.
Let's imagine being born and I have dark skin, living with my family in a society where I may be discriminated by other people by the skin of my color. In that case, the society has the incentive in order to victimize and in order to criticize me just because of my skin color. Only when my family is always beside me, they are the first one to ever actually support me of having a dark skin rather than anything else. Let's analyze. On their side, they somehow assume their society will somehow become really progressive on their side, which has never been proven on their side, right? Let's engage in the comparative in this debate. Which side actually deals with the conservatives better? On the opposition, they never mention to you how you're going to actually live happily. Like, if the society still has this stigmatization, right? Like what they've approved, right? If they agree that women are still being discriminated, if they agree that gay people are still not having their rights, right? This means that even if somehow they're going to live to their fullest and like somehow like being proud and say to society, oh, I'm gay, right? But in that context, you never show how the society will actually show support on your side, right? Because the more information you're going to let out there, the more danger and the more vulnerable you are, the society can actually apply pressure on you. This has never been engaged on their side. On the comparative, we have told you the intrinsic mechanisms. Firstly, we tell you that the family is so much much easier to change because they actually have the time exposure, because they actually have the chance to communicate with you. At least they have a much better tendency in order to change, in order to support to you. Like, especially they have a biological and emotional bond that's never exists on any other people outside the society, right? We tell you that this is actually exclusive on our side, and we empower the most vulnerable. Secondly, on the happiness, they mentioned about, okay, somehow you're going to live to your fullest. But if you don't have the resources, if you're incapable in order to make yourself become successful, right? We believe that in this case, we don't think that the final outcome of taking your own responsibility without validation is actually good. We tell you on that how on our side, the help from family and the resources, the shared resources of the most expensive things like housing are shared. You have more resources to develop yourself, and this is when you become more successful on our side. More than proud to propose.
Great job, guys. That was pretty heated, and a lot of emotion in that for you, yeah? During this round, we'll have no commentary, so thank you so much. Please take a seat. And we'll be right back right after this break. Welcome back to the debaters. Before I reveal our winner for the day, we also have a small prize for one of our lucky contestants, the most valuable speaker. We have a panel of live audience members that will vote for the most valuable speaker today. So why don't we take a look at the board and see who will win. All right, and it looks like with 54.55% of the votes, Wing is the winner. Wing, can you please come up to the stage? Congratulations, looks like you're the most valuable speaker. You'll be winning a 1 million Vietnamese dong prize. What are you gonna do with the money?
Maybe I use money to go to more debate tournaments.
Going to more debate tournaments? Okay. So being the most valuable speaker, do you think there's something special about you that got you this prize?
I think that is my support of my coach and my teammate. Yeah, thank you. And thank you, audience, for all of my speech. And thank you so much.
Congratulations. And I won't keep you guys waiting. I want to give the results for the winner. Can I please have the rest of you up on stage, please? I have the results from the judges in my hand. Currently, the proposition team has 40 points and the opposition team has 50 points. So this will be deciding our winner today. So let's see. First vote for proposition team. That's 5 points, guys. Each of these is worth 5 points, so it gives you 45. Next one, let's see. Proposition team again, putting us at a tie. Guys, we've been at a tie 3 or 4 times this round. You know, it's been neck to neck the whole time. You guys feel nervous?
Yeah.
You guys nervous? Yeah. Well, I'll reveal the winner now. The winner is opposition team. Well, do you guys feel surprised with the results at all?
We're very surprised because the pop did really well, I must say.
I agree, they did do very well. And Ashley's saying, there's really no winners or losers in the competition. We're all winners, right? So thank you so much to all of our contestants. Thank you, judges, and thank you everyone at home watching. And a special thanks to VTV and the British University of Vietnam. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.